Good day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So a couple days ago I uploaded a video kind of demonstrating the DJI Neo following me on a bike. The DJI Neo does a really good job at tracking. It's super easy to deploy, press a button, and it's going to automatically start tracking you. The movements are very smooth and it does a good job staying away from obstacles because as long as you're avoiding obstacles, for the most part it will as well. And now I've had a couple questions about whether you can track while using the controller. And indeed you can. In fact, when you're using the controller connected to the Neo, either something like the DJI RC2 or the RCN3 or the RCN2, essentially it has the full FocusTrack tools that we have on the other drones such as the Mavic 3 series, the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro. Now they're not as advanced, it doesn't have all the capabilities and features as those other drones, but it actually works quite well. So in this video I'm going to demonstrate how FocusTrack works with the DJI Neo, and I'm going to be using the DJI RC2. So I'm going to put the drone up here and I'm going to switch over to a screen recording, and that way I can demonstrate it. Now I just want to apologize, you're going to hear a little bit of drone noise here while I am demonstrating, but the first thing I want to show you here is how to turn on subject scanning. Basically with subject scanning, it's going to look for trackable objects and it's going to put a plus sign on it so you can easily select it to track. So let's go over to settings, and if we go to control, you can see we have an option there for subject scanning. So I'm going to toggle that on, and you can see right away it's put a plus sign in front of me. So I can click on that plus sign and you can see it's now tracking me. If I move to the side, essentially it's in spotlight mode. That's the default option when you first launch it. But I'm going to close that, and you can stop selecting by pressing the X there. That'll stop it from tracking. The other way is just by drawing a box around yourself. Just like that. You can see it's now locked onto me again, back in spotlight. I can move to the side and it's just going to track me. As you can see, as I'm raising it, the camera's going to keep pointing at me. If I move backwards here, you can see it's going to keep pointing at me. So it's really good for keeping you in the shot. The drone is going to stay exactly stationary. It's not going to move, but it will always rotate and adjust the camera to keep you somewhat centered in the screen. So the other thing we can do is a point of interest. So I'm going to click on it. You see we get some new tools. It has speed. We can go back and forth depending on what direction we want it to move. And then we can hit go. And now the drone is just going to rotate around us. While it's flying, we can speed it up. We can bring it in, we can pull it farther back away from us. I'm just going to slow it down a bit so you can see that better. You can see I can bring it in a little bit tighter, or I can bring it farther back out. But it's still going to do the rotation. But let me go ahead, I am going to stop that. Because the other thing we can do is active track. Essentially that's the same as the tracking that we've already seen. And you can see the drone is now just going to follow and track me. I don't want to go too far away from my camera because then I'll lose audio. But the nice thing is I can change the distance. You can see I've pulled back on the stick. That's going to make it follow me from a farther distance. Let's go through here. Just cleared those leaves there, thank goodness. Now, one last interesting thing about using the controller with the Neo and tracking when using it in the autonomous mode and you're launching it from the palm of your hand, it has to lock onto you. If it can't find a human, it's not going to work. But with Spotlight, you can actually lock onto objects and still use that tracking. Now, I haven't done it with a car or anything. I don't know how well it would work with that. It doesn't fly terribly fast, but if you're just wanting to capture some nice, interesting cinematic shots, B-roll shots, it works fantastic. I'll just do a little demonstration, show you how that works. But you can see out in front of me, I have an e-bike, and I can draw on the screen. I can select that back tire of the e-bike, and now it's in spotlight mode, so I can fly the drone around, and it's going to stay locked on. So another useful tool while using a controller, you can't do that when flying it autonomously without a controller, but with a controller you can lock onto things like a bike, a house, a building, a tree, and get some interesting footage. So as you can see, when using the controller, we have full access to FocusTrack, both active track, point of interest, and spotlight. So what a powerful tool the Neo is. Whether you're flying it autonomously without a controller, just launching it from the palm of your hand, you can get all these incredible shots. You don't have to have a lot of skill or a lot of experience with drones, but you can still get some nice footage. On top of that, you can fly with a controller if you want more precision. You can even fly with goggles and an FPV controller if you want a completely immersive flight. So yeah, that is FocusTrack on the DJI Neo. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Give it a thumbs up if you found it had value. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.